And welcome back to Our House. This is Peter Hunt, and this show is brought to you by ourhouse.com. That's little r-house.com, where everything is easier for your home ownership experience. Ourhouse.com is the only place on the web where you can find a complete inventory of homes available here in Buffalo, Niagara, also in Rochester and Syracuse, all through upstate, and you'll also find access to a complete set of home ownership services at Our House, in addition to housing in Sarasota, Florida. Our House is powered by Hunt Real Estate, ERA, and the show is also brought to you by Hunt Mortgage, home of the low-rate guarantee. And if you'd like to know more about the home buying process, the simplest way to do that is to call Hunt Mortgage and ask for your free home buyer CD, which is 633-3700. It'll be mailed out to you free of charge. And for those of you who don't want to go to the web and just want to pick up the phone and get some answers right away, you can call the Hunt Real Estate ERA Customer Service Center, the only one of its kind in North America. One of our customer service reps is waiting for your call right now and will instantly direct you to the appropriate professional for whatever it is you may need, or answer your question right there on the phone. Whether you're buying or selling a home, financing a home, insuring a home, or even fixing up the one you have. And remember, our guarantee stands. We will sell your home, or ERA will buy it. You'll want to talk to a Hunt Real Estate ERA agent this weekend. Go to one of our many open houses and just ask them about the seller security plan, or take a look in the Buffalo News Home Finder today. We are engaged, I believe anyway, in a very interesting discussion with one of the, I guess in my mind, one of the leading thinkers in our Congress today, Mr. Brian Higgins, a member of the United States Congress representing New York's 27th District. And I say that because we were just talking during the break about the impact of the political elements on the decision-making process, which we'll never avoid. We'll never avoid that, Brian, as you know. But there's good thought that's perhaps on the fringes of that whole issue, of that whole world, that needs to come out, and that's what we're trying to do here in this show. Prior to the break, Brian, you were talking about the cost of creating. We weren't, but I brought up the issue of cost of creating the jobs in this new economy that is out there someplace. There's still a big old economy, and as you actually point out, we can't really support a lot of those jobs here in this country anymore. We have labor costs and infrastructure costs that are just too high. So while we may be the creator of the next set of new products in any given field, oftentimes we can't even make them here in this country. So let's accept that for what it is for the moment. But what does that mean in terms of the new economy, or what does all this mean for the new economy? And I was beginning to, I guess, bring up a bad subject, which what's happened in other economies that have pursued this with great vigor, particularly Spain when it comes to wind power. One study I heard about indicated that it was costing over $750,000 to create one job in the wind industry. How do you see that happening here efficiently, particularly when we've got right on our doorstep, as we mentioned earlier, the most efficient producer of hydroelectric power in the world that can produce it so much better, so much faster, so much cheaper, and in such greater volume indefinitely?
Yeah. Well, you bring up that example, and it's a great example. And look, Buffalo and Western New York, taught the world how to turn its natural environment into power 100 years ago. Yeah, we turned a lake that fed a river, whose water was diverted, into a generator of the cleanest, cheapest, renewable energy source in the entire world. Problem is, somebody took it away from us about 50 years ago, and we're beginning the process of bringing all of that back, which is a difficult process. But my point is that it was a lot more expensive 50 years ago to produce the same amount of power at the Niagara Power Project. So, 10 years ago, the Power Authority undertook a upgrade of the 13 turbine generators, which increased the generating capacity of each. Here's my point. While a lot of innovation today is expensive and in some cases cost prohibitive, we have to continue to create an economy that drives innovation so that what we're doing today, we're going to be able to do more efficiently tomorrow and thereafter, thus getting a greater societal benefit and economic benefit. Keep in mind during a severe economic contraction or recession in the late 80s, early 90s, companies like Microsoft were founded, companies like Apple were founded, companies like Intel were founded because, necessity is the mother of invention. And I think, that is the great tradition of the American economy. There is a preoccupation, and I get it, with the difficulty of the economic situation and the pain that exacts on people and businesses and individuals. But there's also concurrently a lot of good things that are happening in this economy. The economy of Buffalo and Western New York is very resilient. We've been characterized as one of the best places to ride out a recession. Why? Because we modified our economic expectations decades ago when the steel plant collapsed and all the ancillary industries that supported that and the jobs. So I think we've become realistic, and I think the rest of the nation is going to learn a lesson from the experience that we're going through right now to do things more efficiently, to have with a little bit less than what our expectation is today. So my hope is that when we see the economic expansion of this economy again, and we will, it will be an economy that is more diversified, that is more resilient, that is stronger moving forward. And I think what this economic crisis has taught us is that we have some hard lessons to learn, and we all are partly responsible. They say we see the problem is us. In many ways, if you look throughout the economy, it's individuals' decisions that were facilitated by a government, a country that was trying to encourage something good, and there were abuses in there, be it deregulation of the financial markets, be it lending money to people that should not have been lent money. But I think the accumulation of that is in large part, what happened to this economy in terms of a bubble bursting. But a lot of it, had to do with the housing market and
stimulus or let's say artificial incentives created to encourage that kind of bad behavior you refer to through things like, and I know you disagree on this, but the Community Reinvestment Act, the second version of that. Anyway, let's go back to the climate issue just for a second. Cap and trade, which has been bashed around, and I don't think people have a clue what it all means. Share with us how this will do what you suggest in terms of helping us to move towards a different, certain fundamental elements of our economy.
Well, the world is moving to an environmental economy that is promoting what's referred to as renewable energy sources, using the natural environment to produce electricity, to produce power. In the United States, we consume much more than we produce. So we are dependent on who? The folks in the Middle East, many people who hate us. Keep in mind there is an inverse relationship between the price of oil and the pace of freedom. When a guy like Ahmadinejad in Iran acts up, it's usually when oil is at $70 a barrel, because our oil purchases, our gas purchases in the United States insulate a guy like him from economic and political reform. The Iranian economy is not plugged into the world economy, but when we are purchasing oil at $70 a barrel, these actors, it's Chavez in Venezuela, it's Medvedev in prior to him, Putin in Russia. So as an economic issue, as an environmental issue, as a national security issue, it behooves the United States to become more energy independent. And there are industries that are developing, the development of solar panels, the development of specialized insulated glass, that people are going to be purchasing and businesses are going to be purchasing moving forward. So let's position ourselves to be able to take advantage of that. We have a manufacturing infrastructure in Buffalo and Western New York. Unfortunately, over the past 30 years, it's become vacated. Let's try to find a way to offer that to industries in the new economy with the advantages that we have that are natural to this community, like low-cost hydroelectricity, because whatever you're making in the new economy, solar panels, glass, whatever, you're going to need electricity to make it. So if we've got something, low-cost hydropower, that nobody else has, it gives us a competitive advantage to experience economic opportunity.
If we controlled it the way I think you'd like to see that happen.
Well, we are controlling. I mean, we want a $279 million settlement, which is now financing, the redevelopment of Buffalo's waterfront. We're seeking a second settlement because about 50 years ago, Buffalo and Western New York got rolled.
Big time.
There was a congressional act called the 1957 Niagara Redevelopment Act, and we allowed that power to be taken from us. That power is made possible by the unique natural resources of Western New York. That doesn't belong to New York City. It doesn't belong to the New York Power Authority. It belongs to Buffalo and Western New York, and we're going to continue our efforts to bring low-cost power here to entice job-creating businesses and whatever settlement we can do to redevelop our natural environment.
I think what you're pursuing in terms of that settlement is the immediate answer. The better answer, I suppose, is how we can stop subsidizing the 14 of the 16 plants under the Power Authority's, power to how we can stop subsidizing those over a long period of time, which is killing us. We'll be right back with more from Our House to Yours after these messages.